Now, this process that I'm doing an audition, I can do an audition because I recorded the voice first, and then I am going to match video to it. The video will probably be a screen recording, much like this tutorial is. But if I had done my screen recording and my video at the same exact time, then what I really need to do is only listen to the audio, do the cleanup, but I cannot cut chunks out in audition. And the reason is the sound and the video already are matching, and if I need to cut chunks out of the audio, then I need to cut chunks out of the video. I need to find a way to keep things synchronized, otherwise I'm going to have a lot of problems for myself. There is no right or wrong way to do these kind of audio recordings for tutorials. If you want to screen record and talk at the same time because that's easiest for you, just make sure that you aren't sounding distracted or diverted, that your attention is halfway what's on the screen and halfway what you're talking about. You need to sound confident and like you have information. This is important information. You got to get it out to the audience, and they should pay attention when it's on the screen, but you are such a master that you don't need to think about what buttons you need to push. If that means you are following a script, reading from the script in advance, and then doing some kind of screen recording to match the script, that's fine. That's a perfectly valid way to go. Now I'm going to show you some dynamics processing, and the effect of this is to knock down those highs and lows of your vocal recording. You'll notice that our raw recording has some really high highs where my voice got louder, or I said a particular syllable, or I emphasized something, and where I was a little softer, it's really soft. There are some sounds that we like to have this be part of the audio experience. For example, if you were doing a movie and you had some ambient noise and characters were walking from a car towards a river, you would imagine the river would get louder progressively. And if this was a band recording, you would probably want some dynamic range to the instruments, particularly the guitars or the drums. You wouldn't want somebody playing the drums really softly to be as equally loud as when they started smashing things. But with the human voice, we have a problem. We like to have a more compressed dynamic range. So we have a few options that we work with under dynamics processing, and one is the vocal limiter. That's the one that I usually use. It really does a good job of managing the levels of quiet voice and loud voice. You'll also notice that it raised my inhalations significantly. So when I do something like it's even more apparent than it was before. We have an option called voiceover, which is very similar, and of the two, I actually prefer the vocal limiter. It sounds more natural to me and not so heavy-handed, but it's going to be up to you which is the option you prefer to use. Should you do your noise reduction first or your vocal limiting first? I often do my noise reduction first, because if I reduce the noise out enough that it doesn't show up, then it won't be raised in volume the same way that my sounds are.